what's up? It's Hope. And today we're talking all the library books that I currently have and how most of them I picked up a couple of days ago. So I have a project in mind for myself. I want to try to actually start working my way through the TBR that I have on my Storygraph account. This is just where when a book seems interesting, I throw it onto the list, and sometimes it sits there for years before I get to it or I completely forget about it. And so a couple days ago, I went through it, and all of the books on the list that I was able to just go to my library bench and grab off the shelves, I went and I picked up. And the plan is to try to get through as many of them as possible. Some of them I don't think, as I read through the first couple of chapters, are going to be for me, but it just gets them off my TBR, and I can continue to add books without forgetting about the ones that are already on it. So, oh my goodness. Let's go through these books, shall we? The first one, which I have started, and I'm not sure I'm going to finish, is The People We Hate at the Wedding by Grant Ginder. This is I think it's a contemporary, it seems to be kind of a comedy, family dramedy, is that what it's called? And I'm not totally sold on it because I think I wanted it to be more comedic than it is. I think I was looking for a really lighthearted contemporary read, and there seems to be a bit more going on. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's just not what I'm looking for when it comes to this type of story. And so it's a very easy read, and I am 115 pages in, so I might just suck it up and finish it, but this is on the we'll see pile. We have Dead Wake by Eric Larson, which is a nonfiction book, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania, and I had just heard that it's a good nonfiction book, so I picked it up. We have Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. This is a story that really interests me, and obviously the Me Too movement makes it very relevant. I'm curious as to how everything with Harvey Weinstein came to a head. I don't know much about it, but I do believe that that is the focus of this story, and so I'm very curious about it. I think it's going to be kind of heavy. I have read the first little bit of this one and was really enjoying the way it was written as a nonfiction. It was flowing really well. It was keeping my attention. I'm definitely looking forward to getting to this one. We then have Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. Is this translated? Yes, it is. Translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. This just has a really interesting premise. Something about the first sentence in the premise is the witch is dead. So I'm very curious as to how it goes. I don't know if it's an actual witch or just kind of a legend around town. Like, is there an old lady outside of town who people just said was a witch or what it is? But very curious about this one. It's also a nice tiny little thing, so it should be fairly easy to get through. I have The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. And this is about a woman who loses her best friend and somehow ends up with the friend's dog, which I believe is a Great Dane. And then life kind of spirals out of control from there is what I'm gathering from this. This was on one of the library shelves for, I think, library recommended shelves or something like that. I had never actually heard of it until that moment, but decided to pick it up. Another book that was on the library recommends shelf, so these two were not on my TBR, they're just books that I've picked up, was The Violin Conspiracy by Brandon Slocum. I'd heard about this one previously, and I don't know where I heard about it from, but it's about a boy who is a violinist, a man who's a violinist, and his prize violin goes missing. And so I think it's kind of maybe a thriller-esque type thing, but I don't know if it's an actual thriller. But as somebody who loves music and cannot imagine what it would be like to open up a case and your prized violin, what you make your money on, is gone, what that would feel like, I'm very, very intrigued about what that book has in store for me. And we have The Good People by Hannah Kent. This is a historical fiction, and it follows three women in 19th century Ireland. I think there's a lot of folklore in this book and kind of myth telling. It's about these three women and they are trying to banish the evil that they believe is in a child. I think that one of the women is in charge of bringing up. Hannah Kent wrote Burial Rites, and I read that, I mean, quite a long time ago now. I don't remember when. I enjoyed her storytelling, so I was very excited to see this. We then have How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbue, M-B-U-E. Mbolo Mbue, I think, Mbolo Mbue. And this is another historical fiction set in, not historical fiction, I apologize. It's not historical fiction at all. I'm thinking of another book. So this is about a city in Africa, or a place in Africa, that is a fictional village. And it's about how it's being exploited and how the people are trying to gain their power back, but are, I guess as of now at the beginning of the book, have been very unsuccessful in doing so. But things are getting worse and worse, and they're finding no traction in trying to get this corporation that's come in and exploiting their resources and destroying their town and causing incredible health conflicts and health issues. And they're trying to figure out what their path of getting themselves out of this situation is. And it seems really interesting, but it also seems quite dark and sad. So we will see when I get to it, but it is one that I've heard really great things about, and I'm definitely wanting to pick up. Obviously all these ones I've heard good things about because I put them on my TBR. All right, next stack. We have thriller Hawk Mountain by Connor Habib. This is about a man who runs into his childhood bully. And I guess the bully doesn't act like he was a bully or something like that. I'm not really sure where the thriller part comes in, but this is one that actually I had tried reading previously and I wasn't in the mood for it, so I soft DNF'd it. Obviously I've picked it up. The thing is, if I don't read it this time around, I feel like it's just gonna get pushed to the back burner again and again and again, because once I picked a book up twice and I haven't started reading it, I'd have concerns about my actual desire. So that is one that definitely needs to at least get attempted to be read. The Change by Kirsten Miller, another thriller. Is this a thriller? I think it's a thriller, but I don't know what it's about or why I picked up. Three women, midlife, putting them on a collision course with evil that lurks in a wealthy beach town. Okay, there we go. That's what that one's about. And another thriller. I am doing everything in my power to find thrillers that I enjoy because I have not found one in, that's not true. I have one in here that I loved, but I'm having a hard time with thrillers these days. And this is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by a name that I'm gonna have to look up again because I absolutely don't know how to pronounce it. Let's see. She's Olga, that. She just wrote, what was it, the Names of Jacob or the Stories of Jacob, a massive book that won the International Booker maybe last year. It was up for something, and it's a book that I actually have tried reading it, and it was so big that I stopped because I wasn't in the mood for it, and will hopefully be able to pick it up again. Okay, let's see. Olga Tokarczuk. Olga Tokarczuk. Okay, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, Olga Tokarczuk. Translated by Antonia Lloyd Jones. And it doesn't say what language it's translated from, but I think she's Polish. I think. And this follows three people, I believe there are two, Oddball and what's her? Janina? Oddball and, nope. What's her name? Oh, maybe it is Janina. oddball and a woman, and they discover that their neighbor Bigfoot is dead, and weird things start happening. So very excited about that. The Subtweet by Vivek Shreya. And this is, I believe, about two musicians and just the way they look at art and the way they make music, and there's a bit of a run-in and a collision in their worlds, and it goes from there. And it's, again, a nice tiny little book. Shouldn't take me too long. This is the one book that I have finished in this entire pile, and that is The Birthday Party by Laurent Montagnier. I adored this book so very much. I wrote a blog post about it. If you're interested at all, it's hopefullyhere.wordpress.com. And this follows, it's a thriller, but it's a slow burning literary thriller. It's hard to describe. I couldn't believe the writing in this. It was spectacular. It built tension and atmosphere so well, but it's not your typical page turner thriller. It's a very unique story. It follows this family, and it's the mother's birthday, and things start to unravel very early on in the day. Highly, highly recommend if you're into, first of all, it's a bigger book. It is exceptionally small font. It is not an easy read, but it is a very enjoyable read, and if that intrigues you at all, definitely go for it. It was up for the International Booker this year. I don't think it was shortlisted, which blows my mind because I read some of the International Booker, and let me tell you, this, cream of the crop. I have Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. I don't know what this is about. This was on Jen Campbell's favorite of the year, and I decided to pick it up. So there's that. We have Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Half of a Yellow Sun. I believe this is a fairly popular book. It is historical fiction about the Nigerian Civil War. I started reading it. The writing seems awesome. The characters seem like they're going to be really well developed. The story is probably going to be heartbreaking. Very much looking forward to reading that. Same with White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I'm also really looking forward to reading this book. I don't think I've read from Zadie Smith before, and I believe she's a very popular author. And this one is, oh, I can't remember what this one's about. It's a family, I think it's a family story, so I'm very excited to read that one. And then finally we have A Passage North by Anouk Arad-Pragasam. And again, I don't remember what this is about. Oh, it takes place in Sri Lanka. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. I believe I opened this one up and started reading a little bit. It's very stream of consciousness, no dialogue type writing, and I don't typically like those kind of books. So we'll see if this one gets finished, but I am very curious about it because it sounds interesting. He gets a phone call and his grandmother's caretaker has died under unusual circumstances. So we'll see how that one goes. And so there goes the physical books. You'd think we were done. No, we're not. Because you know what else is there? Ebooks. And I have some of those out right now too. I have 1, 2, 3, I have 4. I've read 2 of the 4 though. First off, we have Is Mother Dead by Vigdis Horth. Reflection and Reflection. I finished this one this morning. It's a stream of consciousness book. I didn't adore this one. It follows a woman who moves back to Norway, I believe. She's been in Utah, very different places. And she's an artist and she's very estranged from her family. And when she comes back, she tries to figure out whether or not she should be reconnecting with her family, but when she tries, is getting rebuffed. The family doesn't really want anything to do with her, and a lot of the entire story is about, you know how when you have conversations in your head and you build up a situation and you imagine how the conversation's going to go and then it kind of goes a very different direction? That's almost the whole story, where she's imagining what would happen or how someone's acting or behaving without having any context or any knowledge of what is actually happening. happening. And I did enjoy that. I find the story picked up, but it was kind of the last third for me that it really picked up. It was a slow moving book. And again, the way it's written, not my favorite, but I still enjoyed it enough. And it was shorter. I think I stuck with it because it is a shorter book. We then have Ms. Ice Sandwich by Miko Kawakami. And this is about a boy who kind of becomes and finds comfort in a woman who works at a grocery store and makes their sandwiches. It's an easy read. Again, small little book. We have a thriller called All Yours by Claudia Pinheiro. Claudia Pinheiro wrote a book called Elena Knows that was very popular last year. I did not like Elena Knows, but I am so far enjoying All Yours, which is a thriller about a woman whose husband is cheating on her. She follows her husband, sees him murder his mistress, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. She seems to be wanting to clean up the act. Like she's trying to help him hide what he did without him knowing. And I feel like it's just going to snowball into chaos, essentially. We will see. And then finally I have Her Last Affair by John Searles. And I don't know at all what this one is about, but I think it's a thriller because I went on a thriller kick trying to just find anything. And the goal is to, like I said, find some thrillers that I can enjoy again because it has been a hot minute since I have found like a traditional page-turner thriller that I've loved. So those are the latest books from the library. I gotta say, the library is just one of the best resources on the planet because this is hundreds of dollars worth of books that I was able to go in and grab off shelves, and I have in my possession until I don't anymore. I think it's such an invaluable resource to communities and people, and I love them so much. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know the last library book you got out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.